hopefully momentarily. So, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This meeting of the Baltimore County Landmarks Preservation Commission is now in session. Please note the meeting is being audio recorded. My name is Phoebe Evans-Latosha, Chair of the Commission, and I will be running tonight's meeting. We are your volunteer representatives appointed by our county councilperson or county executive and entrusted to monitor renovations and additions to our Baltimore County historic resources. The LPC reviews and approves nominations to the Baltimore County Preliminary Landmarks List, comments on National Register nominations, reviews all exterior alterations within county historic districts, and is charged with evaluating Baltimore County historic tax credit applications. Would the commissioners please introduce themselves by name and county council district or representation? We can go in the order listed on the PowerPoint slide.
Lily Mundroff, District 1.
Chris Weston, District 2.
Wendy McIver, District 3.
Ted McCadden, District 4.
Daniel Dean, District 5.
And John is out, so I'm Phoebe Evans-Latosha, Chair, Executive Appointment, and I believe Jamie is also out. So,
Planning Board Representative.
Ed Horde, Vice Chair, Executive Appointment.
Vince Johnson, Executive Appointment.
and then Tom has not joined us yet, but and I know Chris Parts is not able to attend. So we will note if Tom Leibel joins late. So now please stand as we recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The Landmarks Preservation Commission operates under the authority, standards, and requirements of Title VII, Article 32 of the Baltimore County Code. We refer to the United States Secretary of the Interior standards for rehabilitation as administered by the National Park Service. This is the accepted national standard for historic preservation projects. Our own Baltimore County Historic Preservation Design Guidelines directly reference and incorporate the Secretary of the Interior's standards for rehabilitation. We have important preservation issues to discuss and debate at each meeting. If you would like to make comments, please limit your comments to the specific application or proposal submission being reviewed. We ask for your assistance and understanding so that the discussions do not digress. As an additional comment, we can all agree that historic preservation is an important aspect of the quality of life and place that makes Baltimore County unique. As commissioners, we serve on the commission due to our expertise, interest, and passion for historic buildings and places, and we review submissions based solely on their merit. While we may disagree in discussion and voting, we continue to be a collegial body that respects each other personally and professionally. Would staff please provide us with our virtual meeting reminders?
Just a reminder for offering testimony, the public had an opportunity to register or sign up in advance with staff or to submit written testimony before the meeting. Just a reminder for those who have signed up that at the appropriate time, staff will announce by name and unmute those members of the public who signed up, owners and applicants and project representatives. We'll also allow you the opportunity to speak to the commission, and we will announce you and unmute you as well at the appropriate time. And just a reminder that the information in this PowerPoint is just purely a summary of all the applications or the cases that we're reviewing this evening. The commissioners do receive all the meeting materials 1 week prior to the meeting in order to review and prepare for the meeting. Again, this is information that you see on the screen before you is just a summary and an overview in order to keep the meeting moving in an organized manner.
Okay, great. And it looks like Tom has joined us, just to note that. Are there any changes to the agenda?
No changes.
Okay. Let's see, I think next we, We already did that. Okay, next is the draft minutes for the April 10th, 2025 LPC meeting. Do the commissioner have any proposed changes to those? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve them.
I move to approve.
Thank you,
Second.
Ed. And not sure who was the second, but
Tom.
Tom. Thank you, Tom. Okay, can we have a voice vote? All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Great, the minutes are approved. Okay. Next, we are ready for staff to present the consent agenda items.
All right. First, we have the Karis property at 504 Subbrook Road in Subbrook Park, County Council District Number 2. This is a contributing resource within the Subbrook Park County Historic District, and the applicants propose to screen in an existing 7 by 11 foot rear porch. The next is agenda item number 7. This is the McLaughlin property at 115 Melanchthon Avenue in Lutherville, County Council District 3. This is a contributing resource within the Lutherville County Historic District, and the applicants have proposed railing installation on the front porch and a porch step repair. Next is the Yoakum property at 16205 Corbett Village Lane in Moncton, County Council District 3. This is a contributing resource in the Corbett County Historic District, and the applicants are seeking Part 2 approval for various window and door replacements. And finally, the Harding property at 5127 South Rolling Road in Relay, County Council District Number 1. This is a non-contributing resource within the Relay County Historic District, and the applicants have proposed a rear shed installation. Thank you.
Okay, great. So would anyone present wish to speak against the approval of any of the consent agenda items, or would any member of the commission wish to have a discussion on any of the items before we entertain a motion to vote? Okay, hearing none is.
This is Lily,
Yeah.
District 1. I'd like to pull number 7 McLaughlin and number 9 Harding, please. Just wanted to bring up 2 little things in regards to the approvals.
Okay. Okay, is there any objection to pulling those items? If not, could I have I'd entertain a motion to approve, let me make sure it's right. So it would be consent agenda items 5 and 8.
7 and 8. I'm sorry, 7 and 9. 7 is the McLaughlin, 9 is the Harding.
So it would be to approve items 5 and 8 as proposed?
Yeah, yeah. So if we're pulling the 2 consent agenda items 7 and 9 at your suggestion, Lily, and so now we would have before us entertaining a motion to approve the ones that are not pulled, which are numbers 5 and 8.
Hi, this is Ted. I move to approve as amended.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, wonderful. So we have a motion second. Is there in, I guess now we're ready for a voice vote. This would be to approve these as recommended on the consent agenda. So I guess we're going to do a roll call vote on this, not a voice vote. Sorry.
Yeah, we'll do a roll call. Can I have Chris Weston, please?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Lily?
Yes.
Ted?
Yes.
Wendy?
Yes.
Vince?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Great. Ed?
Yes.
And Phoebe, please?
Yes.
Great, thank you.
Okay, so then now we're moving on to the discussion items. So our first item will be number 4, 301 Allegheny Avenue. If staff could present the application.
Thanks, Phoebe. So, 301 Allegheny Avenue LLC property, this is in Towson County Council District Number 6. This final landmarks list number 246, the Methodist Protestant Church or the Women's Club of Towson. The applicants propose window and door replacements and a concrete entry apron replacement. So 301 Allegheny Ave is again the former Methodist Protestant Church and Women's Club of Towson, and now serves as a commercial building. It was constructed in 1911 and designed in a vernacular Gothic style by local architect James S. Nusier Jr. It was added to the final landmarks list in 2005. And this building contributes significantly to the county's history for its association with the Women's Club philanthropical endeavors, as well as with Towson's ecclesiastical history. It is also a distinctive, well-detailed expression of simplified Gothic style and the work of a noted local architect. The applicant is requesting to make a few in-kind replacements, and the work consists of the following. First, the exterior door replacements. Applicants request to replace 2 existing non-historic doors located on the rear of the structure, which provide access to the building from the rear parking lot. Door 1, located on the left side of the south elevation, is a single-leaf wood veneer door with no panels. Door 2, located on the right side, is a single-leaf 4-panel door that has a PVC board attached to a vertical panel. The application notes that the replacement material will be Akoya, which is a softwood that has been modified to improve the wood strength and resistance to environmental factors. Door 1 will be replaced with a solid 2-piece door that will have a 9-light upper portion and 2 horizontal panels in the lower portion. Door 2 will be replaced with a 4-panel door with 2 vertical upper panels and 2 lower horizontal panels, similar to the existing style. Additional work to the rear entrances will include removing the existing concrete aprons at both doors and replace with 2 4x8 concrete apron. The existing sidewalk and asphalt paving will be removed as needed to accommodate the new aprons. Second work item includes the window replacements. So the applicants request to replace the existing windows on the east and south elevation of the structure, stating poor condition, and notes that all windows are a lead-based paint hazard. The proposed replacement windows are LePage aluminum-clad simulated divided lights, double-hung windows to match the existing as close as possible. Staff would like to note that from the application, it is a bit unclear how many windows are to be replaced. The application only mentions replacing the double-hung windows and an awning window on the east and south elevations. No information was provided about the windows on the front elevation or the west elevation, and staff asked that the commission clarify this with the applicant. The east elevation, which faces Bosley Avenue, has 5 windows. 3 1/1 style windows on the main level and 2 6/6 style windows that are covered with a metal security grille on the basement level. Photo description submitted mention that the basement level windows are double hung, but does not include any photos or information about the main level windows. The south rear elevation has a total of 6 windows. The east side has 2 large 1/1 wood windows on the main level and a single awning window on the lower level. The west side of the rear elevation has a large central classic Gothic style window on the main level and 2 6/6 style wood windows covered with a metal security grille on the basement level. Photo description submitted mentioned that the basement level windows are double hung, but again does not include any photos or information about the main level windows. And then on the west elevation, it is unclear how many windows are present. From photo description submitted, there's a photo of a west elevation window that was tested positive for lead. However, no information provided in the application indicates if windows on the west elevation will be replaced. So again, the application did not have any information about the front elevation windows. And staff asked that the commission clarify if the metal security grilles on the basement level will be replaced as well. As for the proposed replacement, our guidelines allow for the in-kind replacement of existing windows that are lead-based paint hazards. Replicating the material of historic windows is always appropriate, and replacement windows must adequately replicate the overall size, glazing, operation, finish, exterior profiles, and arrangement of the historic windows. Vinyl and vinyl or aluminum-clad windows are not permitted as a replacement for wood windows in historic structures. Staff notes that while simulated divided light wood replacements are appropriate, aluminum-clad wood replacement windows are not and do not follow our guidelines. So staff asked that the LPC determine if more information is needed regarding the existing windows proposed for replacement, particularly for the following: the number of total windows proposed for replacement, the style and type of windows proposed, whether it be 6/6 or 1/1 awning style with no buttons, whether security grills will be replaced, and staff asked the commission to think about the proposed replacement material and style, whether it be wood with no exterior cladding, frame profiles must match the existing, and notes that similarly divided lights is permitted, replacement windows must match existing window style, and the profile must match existing profiles and dimensions, but staff has no issues with the door and apron replacements. Citing Baltimore County Historic Design Guidelines, Chapter 2, Windows and Doors, County Code Section 32-7-405. Thank you.
Oh, okay, thank you. Is the applicant present, and would they like to add anything or clarify what staff presented?
Sure, we have the project representative with us, Mr. Paul Dickover. I have you unmuted if you can add anything for the commission.
Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Yes. So originally we were requesting those 5 units. Speaking about the windows first, there were 2 double hungs on the back or south elevation of the building, 2 double hungs to the left of the one light and no panel door. And then there's an awning on that same elevation on the right from the south view on the right side, which would be a one light awning on the right corner there that you see. On the excuse me, the east side, there are 2 smaller double hung windows, 6/6. And to answer one of the other questions that you had, the security grids are something that we are not planning on putting back. I believe they were put on in 2005, to my understanding. I don't know whether that falls into, when it was adopted into the by the LPC or not, but I don't know if they went on before or after that designation. So the doors themselves on the south elevation, they are Akoya, which I believe Jessica spoke to, being the only kind of wood door that we can get that's going to be an outswinging door that will stand the test of time. As maybe you're not aware, but as those doors sit out, they are fully exposed on all edges to the weather, blown, driven rain, and so forth. Both of those doors will be made of that product, and correct, will be made of that material. And you had spoke about, I've got quotes for an aluminum clad wood window, which is what I was hoping to do from a cost standpoint for ACTC to be able to have to reduce ongoing maintenance on the exterior of the building. The clad profile, the profiles of the clad unit are exact to what it would be of a wood replacement. From the mutton design, it looks like an exterior glazing, not a new line profile that you would find on. Yes, so the upper, the top one where it shows the spacer with the angular buttons is the design that it would have. And so the whole idea about the SDL and in clad would be that the windows would not have to be maintained, every 5 years. These are all of the windows really are going to have to be painted within a 5 to 7 year period at maximum, which over time, turns into a lot of money over time.
Okay, thank you. Do the commissioners have any clarifying questions for the applicant?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Are the existing windows so deteriorated that they have to be replaced?
There's no way to make the windows if they were operated, they would be fragmenting, wearing on. There's no way to remove the lead paint in the path where the doors or the window sashes operate. So over time, that lead paint would fall into the inside or onto the exterior or interior windowsill.
I don't know if any of the other architects on the commission have a similar experience, but I have experience on historic buildings of removing the lead paint, having them stripped, and it's not inexpensive, but if the windows are not deteriorated to the point where they need to be replaced, I think you need to look at ways to remove the lead paint.
Okay. That was my understanding that if they had lead paint as a portion of the package, that it would be allowed to have the windows replaced, and therefore also providing a window that is thermally, better for the heating and cooling of that structure in the future.
There is a potential to do that and to provide storm windows, either interior or exterior storms. So that's a way to get the thermal qualities that you're looking for in the window. Dealing with the lead can be handled with stripping, and it's costly. I mean, you've got to take the sashes out and have them stripped, and then you've got to do the jambs and the frames, particularly the interiors of the frames and the parts that move against those frames that are the sashes move against, because they can put, as you say, dust into the building. But you could look into doing that. But the windows are one of the biggest things that we sort of try to protect. The old ones last so long, and the new ones have such a short life to them.
So one of the challenges when you are trying to strip windows is that you can get them to be lead safe but not lead free. The test of an XR gun unless you mill down like 1/8 of an inch, you will have some of the lead paint residue will end up in the grain of the wood. It's inherent in the material. So it is a challenge, and there's not a 100% solution to that. I would echo Ed's thoughts that, especially if you were to look at a storm panel, if you look at an internal storm panel, you could isolate the potential for generating lead dust from the interior. Is one set of barriers you can set up for that. But yeah, there's not an awesome solution to abating lead. It's a pernicious problem that there's no good answers for.
Right. Well, I've been in this industry for 46 years, and I've done my fair share of lead removal, and it's been my experience that there's no way to make the wood lead free, no matter what you do.
And you're correct.
So, and that was the reason, because of that cost was going to far exceed the cost of new windows by a large margin.
Are there other questions from the commissioners, particularly related to the aluminum clad versus?
Jessica, can you remind us what the guidelines say?
Sure, one moment.
Well, she's looking. I also have a particular problem removing the Gothic window. I'm not.
The Gothic windows were not going to be touched.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Thank you for clarifying that.
And they are not they both of the large Gothic windows, one south, one north, have small ventilated windows which are not in an operating, have no operating capacity at this point in time.
Okay, thank you. When you're ready, I have the guidelines up. Chapter 2, windows and doors, window replacement guidelines apply when the LPC has determined that an existing historic window is deteriorated beyond repair, that an existing historic window is a lead-based paint hazard, that an existing historic window does not contribute or is detrimental to the historic character of the building. Let's see, and then for replacing existing windows, vinyl and vinyl or aluminum clad windows are not permitted as replacement for wood windows in historic structures. So those are most applicable.
I heard two contradictory things in there. One said that if you have lead-based paint that you can get rid of it, but then I also heard you can't use aluminum clad as a replacement.
Wait, I don't know that it's contradicting if what we're saying.
Well, it's saying that you.
If
Go
it
ahead,
is
sorry.
wood, if it is wood, but it has the lead hazard, it has to be replaced with wood.
Yes.
If
Right.
the lead is hazardous, and you know, and they've proved that.
Right. So if he came back here with a window that was a wood window, I don't think we would be questioning it, right?
Yeah, that would meet the design guidelines that if it were a wood replacement window as opposed to aluminum clad.
Well, that's something that can be had. It just, forces the hand of them to be doing ongoing maintenance. And as time goes on, it just gets more and more expensive.
Yeah, so is that something that you would prefer to take back to the property owner to, kind of price out the cost of a wood replacement and the maintenance over 5 years versus the potential of stripping the wood windows, knowing that that may not get all of the lead, but it would, be an improvement?
Yeah, I've had the conversation with the executive director, and the idea is, I mean, it would be ideal that if we would be able to use the aluminum clad with, it's an actual wood window with the aluminum cladding on the exterior, that would help out with ongoing maintenance and costs. And so they already are aware that it may have to be an all wood window, which the profiles and everything that I've brought to you are all exacting from a wood window or from an aluminum clad unit to a wood clad unit. So I already proactively went after all that information, and that's, so all the windows would be available in a full wood window, and they would be made out of red Grandis.
Yeah, thank you for that. So I guess then the question for the commissioners is, do we feel we have enough information to make a decision regarding the windows if we put in the condition that they would be wood replacement windows as opposed to the aluminum clad windows that were proposed? And do we have enough information regarding the specific windows that are being proposed to replace, knowing that the application did not have a diagram pointing out numbering each windows. So if you do come back, I would recommend that you come back with a labeling each window.
Right. The document that I submitted to you did have each window called out and its location on the building. It was quantity, the design of the actual window, like 6/6, On the east elevation, I had two double hungs, 6/6, and then called out the two double hungs on the rear or southern elevation, both 6/6. And then there was an awning that I called out as well as a single panel. Those are the ones that we were hoping to do. Subsequently, I've gotten prices put together for the entire structure, omitting any. There's a small Gothic window on the western elevation. There's the large Gothic window on north, south, and then there's another one. It's a double hung window that's in a maintenance closet on the upper level on the west side. None of those windows are in. We're looking to do anything except really possibly restore the woodwork on the exterior to make them watertight and preserve them. But they're not, the windows that I'm speaking of are non-operable windows. And then the other windows that we would be interested in doing that we're not called on here are the windows that are on the northern elevation at the stairwell on the right side of the north elevation. And then on the western side, there's another window that's in that same stairwell. And then there are small windows on the northern elevation that are in the stone masonry below the main level at almost, like a basement window, if you will. And there's three of those in the masonry. And then there's one that is under the left side, which are bathrooms. There's two casements above that. And then there's another, they're French casements in the basement and in that utility room. And then there's six large 8-foot tall single hung windows that are on three of them, I believe, 1, 2, 3 on the east. There's two on the south, and then there's one on the western elevation.
Can I just make an interjection? The windows have been listed, but they're not pointed out in an overall picture. So it's really like when you take a picture of an individual window, we can see the detail, but we don't see it in the overall view on that whole side. So it's really hard to determine if you're looking at the east side or the south side. If you're talking about the three bottom windows that are all double hungs versus what the other ones are on the that are 1/1. So when coming back, it is really helpful to indicate what windows in the overall elevation, what windows are being either replaced or reconditioned, or what the status is, what the material of those 1/1 is, just to kind of, even if you're planning it in phases, it's very helpful to kind of understand the full picture.
Right.
Just so that they all ultimately feel like an integral part and are the integral part of the historic structure.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm pretty sure that I had shown full elevation shots of all those. One north, one east, one west, and south.
If I could interrupt here,
Sure.
there does still seem to be some confusion and contradictory messaging from you, tonight and in the application as to which windows were pointed out in the application, and then your discussion of ones that you might later also want to do. We really just need specific, each side of the building with a picture numbering each window and letting us know which windows, specifically referring to those numbers, will be replaced and what they will be replaced with. That's the sense that I'm getting from the commission, is that you may need to come back on the windows.
I have a comment.
Thank you, Ed.
If all windows need to be replaced because of lead, except for the Gothic windows, which are more difficult to replicate, if we're saying that that's what he's doing, which it sounds like that is what he's doing, he's shown all the windows, as long as he replaces them in kind, matching the windows that are there, and they're done in wood, I think, I don't know why we couldn't approve that. I mean, it seems, I mean, it's not 100% clear. I mean, but I think it's takes some effort, but I think it's pretty much there, the information. It could be, I agree with Lily, it could be a lot easier. A diagram on there which showed, numbered those windows so we could look and quickly look from that window from an elevation down would be helpful. But if we're saying all of them are going to be replaced, they're going to be in wood, and they're being replaced because they're lead, which meets the guidelines. I don't know why we can't approve.
But he's not saying that he's replacing all of them. That's not, I mean, I think he was discussing some of them to be reconditioned.
Well, the only reconditioned windows would be the ones that have lead, or not lead, that have leaded glass, meaning the front and rear tall Gothic windows, the small Gothic window on the western elevation, and a double hung on that same elevation, approximately 6 or 7 feet away from that small Gothic. They would be reconditioned. They would be the only ones that would be reconditioned.
I think I can capture this in a motion.
Okay, great, Chris. Thank you.
A motion to approve the doors as received. Motion to reject aluminum clad wood windows. Motion to approve all wood windows as replacements for any operable wood window on the building. All inoperable windows to remain and be reconditioned. That would include all the Gothic windows.
Okay, thank you for articulating that so well, Chris. Is there a second on the motion?
I second it.
Okay.
Or any discussion?
I was going to suggest potentially that we approve conditionally and allow the applicant to come back to staff for final approval, just to make sure that all the details are correct, and that if we are, if we're comfortable with the general approach, that staff get one last look at it just to make sure that it's being executed as we understand it to be.
I am comfortable with Tom's addendum to my motion.
Okay, wonderful.
I will second that.
Thank you,
as
Wendy.
well.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. I don't know that, do I need to repeat the motion?
No, we can move
Okay,
to a
thank you.
roll call.
Chris did such a good job. I don't know that I could do it justice. So then I think, are we ready for a voice vote then?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Or I'm sorry, roll call vote,
Yes.
vote.
Could I have Chris, please?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Lily?
Yes.
Ted?
Yes.
Wendy?
Yes.
Vince?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
And Phoebe, please?
Yes.
Great, thank you. And Paul, Caitlin and I will be in touch tomorrow just to, clarify all
Sure.
that, touch base with you.
Yeah, I mean,
But,
I can get you any information that you need from, takeoff sheets from the supplier to whatever you need.
Great, thanks so much. We appreciate it.
Yep.
All right, thanks, Paul. Alrighty, moving on to agenda item number 6. This is the Jericho Covered Bridge. It's a Baltimore County and Harford County joint tenant property located on the Franklinville Road at Baltimore and Harford County line, and it's within Council District number 5. This is final landmark list number 20, the Jericho Covered Bridge, and the applicants have returned with a proposal to replace the timber decking. So some history on the bridge. It is an 8-foot by and 3-inch by 13-foot burr arc truss bridge that was constructed across the Little Gunpowder Falls in 1865 and connects Baltimore and Harford counties. The bridge was added to the final landmarks list on October 31st, 1978 through Council Bill number 101-78. Baltimore County Department of Public Works came before the LPC at its September 14th, 2023 meeting requesting to remove all the existing planks and replace with a structural transverse glue lammed timber decking. The commission reviewed the request and voted not to approve the work as proposed, stating that our 2011 design guidelines call for the in-kind replacement of deteriorated wood features and that the proposed material diminishes the historic character of the existing timber floor system. The commission recommended that the decking be replaced in kind or with a substitute material that can better replicate the existing plank width, texture, and other visual qualities of the existing decking. Public Works has returned to the commission again with the same request to replace the current wood decking system. The application indicated that due to poorly connected deck planks, combined with daily vibrations of traffic, have caused the planks to shift sideways, creating wide gaps between the ends of the planks and the bridge curb blocks. This has led to safety concerns for vehicles and pedestrians. In addition, several planks are showing signs of wear and tear, such as splitting off. The existing bridge is a single-span structure measuring 86 feet and 3 inches in length and 13 feet in width. A one-lane, two-way consisting of a timber deck supported by steel beams. The existing decking is a narrow 2-inch by 4-inch transverse timber planks nailed together on the vertical side. The existing decking was previously replaced in 2015 during a major rehabilitation project and is not the original decking. The applicant proposes to remove all the existing planks and replace with a glue-lammed decking. Structural glulam is an engineered wood product made by bonding structural lumber to create larger members. Each glulam deck panel will be 4 feet wide, 4 inches thick, and 13 feet long, and will be custom fabricated to replicate the existing 2-inch by 4-inch narrow planks to maintain the visual qualities of the existing material. The material was selected to provide greater longevity than the existing timber planks. In addition, the plans call for the removal of the existing timber curb and sculptor blocks to be replaced with new timber curb and sculptor blocks. Staff encourages the commission to discuss the proposal and its overall impact to the bridge's integrity and impact on the original design intent of the bridge while determining if it meets our guidelines and national standards. The National Park Service's Supplemental Resource Guidelines for Rehabilitating Historic Covered Bridges recommends the following: that replacing in kind or with substitute material only those portions or features of the floor system that are either extensively deteriorated or missing, instead of replacing the entire floor system. It does not recommend upgrading the bridge structurally in a manner that diminishes the historic character of the floor system, such as replacing floor beams and decking with non-wood materials or engineered timber. While staff appreciates the applicant's desire to maintain safety, the current proposal does not meet our design guidelines nor the Secretary of the Interior standards for rehabilitation for historic covered bridges. The proposal does not mention any kind of repair to the existing planks, nor does it propose the in-kind replacement of any deteriorated planks. In addition, the proposed replacement material does not replicate the existing plank width, structure, or texture. So staff recommends not to issue a certificate of appropriateness as the current proposal does not meet our design guidelines. And we're citing Baltimore County Historic Design Guidelines, Porches and Steps, as well as the National Park Services Guidelines for Rehabilitation of Historic Bridges, County Code Sections 32-7-4 and 5.
Okay, thank you. Is the applicant present, and would they like to add anything to what the staff presented?
Yes, we do have the project representative. Let's see. Hi, Mr. Byrne, I have you unmuted.
Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Sorry, I'm Justin Byrne. I'm one of the project managers at DPW&T. I handle all of our maintenance. So I'm a little confused on why you guys say this doesn't replicate what's there. It's literally going to be the exact same thing. It's just the mechanism that we're tying it all together is different. So instead of it being nailed, each one being nailed together, they're pressed together with glue and hardened under heat and pressure.
Hi, I just want to interject. We accidentally read the action summary from a meeting that was from 2 years ago. So this
Okay.
wasn't an updated summary that the commission got in their packet. It wasn't updated on our final sheet.
Yeah. Do you have also a picture of what was originally proposed? Because this is different, right? I mean, in terms of what was proposed before.
It's literally the same thing. We just went and tried to get some more information for you guys, so you can
Okay.
see that how it looks.
Okay.
Yeah,
They
and
provided more examples of images of it being used in other bridges this time around.
Okay.
the other thing that has changed is Baltimore County's design guidelines have been reviewed and updated in since we last reviewed them.
If you folks can bear with me,
Okay.
I read the correct portion. My apologies. Okay, so as Phoebe was saying, our current design guidelines do not have a chapter specific to bridges, but we do have guidelines for porch decking that states when in-kind replacement is not possible, a visually and physically compatible synthetic material may be used that replicates the size, form, shape, texture, and appearance of the historic material. Additionally, the National Park Service has guidelines for the rehabilitation of covered bridges, which states that replacements with in-kind or substitute material should be made to those portions or features of the floor system that are either extensively deteriorated or are missing, and substitute material should be of the same form and or species that convey the same design and overall visual appearance, or be equal to the original material's load-bearing capabilities. So the NPS's the guidelines do state that in some situations the structural glue lam may be appropriate, and it has been approved in the past by state historic preservation offices in cases where the original structural system would be maintained. In this situation, the decking is the only element being replaced and the structural system remains the same. So quite different from what I read.
Thank you. That's what my understanding was earlier when we had our chair agenda. So I was a little confused. Thank you for clarifying that. So do the commissioners have any questions either for staff or for the applicant? So I'm just,
If I could elaborate on what Mr. Byrne was saying, that the existing bridge is decking is composed of boards stacked vertically, right? And if we go to the next picture, the suggested replacement, we can go to the next slide, is a glue lam. One back, sorry. The picture of the glue,
the
glue lams, yes.
Yeah.
The suggested replacement is taking that glue lam, laying it on its side. So the appearance that you're going to get is stacked vertical boards. Now, what they're suggesting is that this thing is a 4-foot wide panel instead of 20 or 30 boards stacked together.
Right. So this is what we were able to get from our, well, not from our, but a producer of glue lam, and that's all they had that actually showed how it goes together. So if you go back to that, the panels will actually be how that looks vertically, but turned on its side. So you'll see each individual plank. So it won't be stacked. It'll be as it is right now. So a 2 by, I believe they're 6 inches, 4 inches, something like that. It'll be stacked the same way.
Right. So your experience on this bridge, people don't walk across this bridge. It's only open to vehicular traffic.
No,
so your experience on this bridge is going to be unchanged. Visually, you're going to see vertically stacked boards. Acoustically, you're going to hear driving across wood, which is part of the experience. So your overall experience is unchanged with this new material. And I think a good use of taxpayer money. So I'm in favor of the replacement.
Yeah.
And it actually will make it easier if you saw the pictures of everything's damaged. Well, we literally, the best solution we had was to put a 2 by 4 underneath the curb and nail each individual one to that 2 by 4.
Yeah, it's a spooky looking bridge right now.
And we've been trying to figure out something with this deck actually since 2018. So after it was installed 3 years later, from all the vehicular traffic, it had started to come undone.
To add into what Chris was saying, people do actually walk across this bridge, and just seeing these pictures here and the time frame in between, I'm more in favor of having this fixed as well, because you're looking at the time frame here. Next month is graduation season. I have to stop when crossing this bridge every time I go because people are getting photographs and running in front of the bridge to get prom pictures and graduation pictures. And it's a one-lane one, so you have to honk so cars on the opposite side don't start coming in. But from seeing these pictures, this is kind of my opinion, needs to be done sooner rather than later before somebody from the public breaks their leg in as they run to go inside the bridge, get a picture before an incoming vehicle comes in. So just as far as time frame stuff, it's good that it's coming sooner rather than later.
Chris, why don't you make a motion?
Yes, I would motion to approve the glue lamb product as submitted with the diagram, with the drawings that were submitted.
And I'll second it.
Can we cite the new historic guidelines?
Citing the new guidelines as read by Jessica.
Hey,
Yeah,
just
so-
clarify that in there. Thank you.
Oh gosh, hopefully we don't have any more of those issues. So that would be, citing Baltimore County Design Guidelines, porches and steps, as well as the National Park Services guidelines for rehabilitation of historic covered bridges.
Thank you. I forgot to ask if there were any public testimony or people wishing to speak.
No, we didn't
Okay.
have any registrants.
Great, thank you. So, is there any further discussion, or if not, I would call for a roll call vote.
Great. Have Chris, please.
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Lily,
Yes.
Ted,
Yes.
Wendy.
Yes.
Thank you. Vince, please.
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
Ed,
Yes.
and Phoebe, please.
Yes.
Great, thank you. And thank you very much for your patience with me. Alrighty.
Okay.
Okay, so we have the McLaughlin property, agenda item number 7, that was pulled from the consent agenda. Ms. McLaughlin called of a little earlier, but we weren't able to take her call because we're in the meeting. So we will not have the property owner available to answer questions, but hopefully staff can help with that. So McLaughlin property is located at 115 McLaughlin Avenue in Lutherville, County Council District 3. And it is a 2.5-story frame dwelling constructed in 1875 in the Downing Vogue cottage style and is considered a contributing resource. The applicant is requesting to repair the existing 1 by 7 foot front porch step in kind. The replacement wood will be painted black to match the existing porch and steps. And additionally, a 4x4 cedar railings and handrails will be installed on either side of the existing porch steps and porch. The railing pickets will be Douglas fir, spaced 3.5 inches apart, and will raise 28 inches above the porch floor. The railing style is being modeled after the railing on a neighboring property at 1601 Division Avenue. The application did not mention if the house had a previous railing. However, railings are typical for this style of house. So, we're citing Baltimore County Historic Design Guidelines, Chapter 5, Porches and Steps, County Code Section 32-7-405.
Okay, thank you. And so the applicant is not available, but I know Lily, you had some questions, comments, so I would invite you to speak first to this agenda item.
Thank you, Phoebe. So my only, I guess, suggestion was that if we went on approving it with just a note about first the example used seems to show a PVC porch. It's hard to tell, but it might be in that case. And if so, just kind of making sure that some of the details are not the same. And two, the current porch, they have, it's a turned cedar baluster. So just kind of being aware that if they are in fact using the rail, that it meets it properly and they don't come back with basically removing these posts and turning them into a square post altogether. So just a note about maintaining the current bows, the turned posts that they have in wood, and being aware of how the proposed railing connects with these properly and doesn't mimic the the PVC porch that they're showing as an example. That's all.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other commissioner comments or questions? If not, I would entertain a motion, and perhaps Lily, if you wanted to turn your suggestion into a motion, that might be.
Can I ask one question?
Yes, Wendy.
The example they gave of their neighbor's porch, of course, has many more steps and all. But does this porch, are they going to put the railing all the way across the porch and down the steps? Or are they just having the railings where the steps are?
It's from our understanding from the application that the railing is going to be on all sides of the porch and a small railing on the two steps.
Because that sort of changes the character of the house.
I mean, that's what that's what they were proposing, and because there are other porches, even though they are at a higher elevation from the grade. So in this case, it's not as high, but they guess using other examples of porches in the neighborhood, the height of the rail also is not at 36 inches. It's a lot lower, but again, I think as long as they follow that historic, line of how the rail interacts with the original post. Yeah, this has a much taller.
Yes, where to me that looks fine, because it is a bigger space and more stairs.
But they're falling from, like, part of the issue was that somebody tripped from that. Somebody tripped from that elevation and broke their ankle. So that's why they would like to put it all around.
I think it looks fine.
Okay.
So would you like me to entertain a motion, Phoebe?
Yes. Are there any other comments or questions from the commissioners? Okay, hearing none, then yes, Lily, if you could articulate a motion, that would be helpful.
I make a motion to approve the proposed porch, rail, and step as submitted, with the note to not follow the neighbor's detail if it's PVC, and to keep the existing turn cedar balusters in place and not replace them with square posts.
I would just suggest that you add note, rather than referencing the PVC, state that the railings be wood.
Okay. So I make a motion to approve the proposed railing and step, and make sure that all the parts used are wood and not replace the existing turned posts.
The columns.
Columns. I'm sorry, columns.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Ed. Any further discussion? Hearing none, let's have a roll call vote.
All right, thank you. Can we have Chris Weston?
Yes.
Scott, please.
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Lily,
Yes.
Ted,
Yes.
Wendy,
No.
Dan,
Yes.
Vince,
Yes.
Ed,
Yes.
and Phoebe, please.
Yes.
Great, thank you. The motion carries with 9 affirmative votes.
Okay. So next we're on to agenda item 9, I believe,
Yes.
which was also pulled from the consent
Correct.
agenda. Okay.
Yes.
If you
So
can
again,
present
this
that.
is the Harding property at 5127 South Rolling Road in Relay. And it is a circa 1955 single-story ranch-style dwelling clad in asbestos shingles with an asphalt gable roof. An identical non-contributing property is located to the immediate north along South Rolling Road, and a contributing property is located to the south, separated by Forsythia Lane. Non-contributing properties are located to the rear along Chestnut Street. There is an existing shed on the property that will be removed, located in the southwest side of the rear yard near Forsythia Lane and Gover. The existing shed has a gambrel style roof similar to the new proposed shed. The applicants propose to install a 10 by 12 wood shed to be located in the northeast corner of the rear yard and sit on a concrete foundation. The shed will have an asphalt shingle gambrel roof with a double entry barn style door and and a 2/2 window centered above the entry. Staff does not have any issues with the proposed shed installation, as it will be appropriately placed in the rear yard. It will not be visible from the public right-of-way. So we are citing Baltimore County Historic Design Guidelines, Chapter 7, Fences and Landscapes, County Code Section 32-7-405.
Okay, thank you. Is the homeowner present or applicant?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay.
Oh, no, my mistake. We do
Okay.
not have the property owner with us.
Okay, great. Thank you. Since Lily pulled this from the consent agenda item, Lily, if you could speak, I would let you go first in terms of any comments or questions.
Yes, I had a question. If you go back to I guess the floor plan or site plan, I just want, they had one with where they had noted the orientation and size of it with the setback. You don't have that in the picture, I guess.
No, I'm trying to pull it up for you, but my computer's being slow.
So it's a 10 by 12. It looks like the house was in the site plan shown, the side setbacks were about 10 feet. So I just wanted to know first whether or not the doors, if the doors are oriented towards the driveway, then it's on the longer side. And basically just if they're, I don't know if they are required to pull a permit for this or not, but it seems like it would be right on the property line. So I just wanted to clarify that how it's oriented and whether or not they have enough of a setback. They're essentially putting it right on the property line. So it doesn't seem like what they were showing is quite accurate on the plan, but it's a zoning thing, so I didn't know if it was,
Yeah, it will have to go get a permit for it, and they can do without the zoning as long as you're okay with the general shed location.
Yeah, I'm fine. So I just wanted to, I didn't know if it was going to go, if it needed to go for a permit, so I just wanted to make them aware of that. That's all.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other comments or questions from the commissioners? Knowing that it will go before zoning for the permit part, I would entertain a motion.
Motion to approve?
Second. This is
Okay.
Lily.
Thank you, Lily. Then I will, we can have a roll call vote.
All right, could we have Chris, please?
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Lily,
Yes.
Ted,
Yes.
Wendy,
Yes.
Vince,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
Ed,
Yes.
and Phoebe, please.
Yes.
Great, thank you.
Okay, now moving back to our agenda item number 10, the Costa property.
Alrighty. So the Costa property is located at 16223 Corbett Village Lane in Moncton, County Council District Number 3. This is a contributing resource in the Corbett County Historic District, and the applicants are requesting to construct a rear addition and reconfigure an existing driveway. So the property is a two-story gable roof frame house constructed in 1890 in the vernacular folk Victorian style. The main 19th century structure is 3 bays by 1 bay, measuring 28 by 16 feet, and has a 1-story, 26-foot wide front porch. The roof is a standing seam metal with a 10.5 foot pitch. The 2-bedroom house has an existing square footage of a little over 1,700. It has previously been altered on the rear with 2 20th century additions, a 1-story shed addition on the east side and a 2-story addition on the west side. Additionally, there's a small 1-bay addition constructed on top of the 1-story addition that connects to the 2-story addition. The applicant is requesting to remove the existing rear additions and construct a 2-story L addition. The addition will be set back 1 foot from the main house on both sides to keep the addition behind the main house. It will extend to the north for 40 feet. The first 24 feet will have a width of 25 feet, and the last 15 feet will have a width of 34 feet, and a bump out of 6 feet 9 inches on the east side. The addition's roof will intersect at the middle of the existing roof height of the existing ridge. There will be a continuing low slope shed style roof on the left side of the L to cover the second floor. The end of the L will have a cross gable that relates to the main house roof. The finished floor heights will align with those on the main house, and the proposed windows will be a 2/2 style to match the main house. On the east side elevation, there will be a small entry porch. The side entry door will be a half glazed and paneled single leaf door. On the rear elevation, there will be a 2-story deck / balcony and a set of 2 double leaf wood doors. 3/4 glaze will be located on the first floor, and 2 single leaf doors with the same style will be on the second floor. In addition, there will be an interior brick chimney at the end of the addition. So the proposed materials include the following. The roof will be covered in an asphalt shingle. Siding will be a smooth finish hardy board at 5-inch exposure. The fascia, rake, frise, corner posts, and soffits will match the main house, but be in ASIC material. And the windows will be double hung, simulated divided lights, fiberglass exterior with wood interiors. Additionally, the applicant is requesting to reorient a portion of the existing driveway to accommodate the addition. A portion of the current gravel driveway extends north along the west property line behind the house. That portion will be removed, and a new driveway of CR6 gravel or similar will be installed along the east side of the house and extend to access the relocated 2-car garage. Staff would like to note that the location of the addition meets our design guidelines. It is located on the rear elevation that has been previously altered by 2 20th century additions. Additionally, staff feels that even though the height and footprint are not smaller than the main house, the proposed size and scale is not overpowering. The addition is set behind the main structure to help diminish the addition and make the main house be the primary focus. The addition has a rear L, is a typical location and design of additions to these types of houses. And again, staff feels that the proposed addition sufficiently meets our guidelines and asks the commission to discuss the proposal, specify specifically the size, height, and ways to better differentiate the old from the new. So staff asked the LPC, I'm sorry, We're citing Baltimore County Historic Design Guidelines, Chapter 6, New Construction, Additions, and Non-Contributing Structures, County Code Section 32-7-405.
Okay, thank you. Is the applicant present?
Yes. Nate, I will unmute you. All right.
Hello.
Hi.
Yes.
Excellent. First, thank you, Caitlin and Jessica, for your help and guidance as we go down this new path of planning an addition to our home, and also working with Jody, who has helped us with our design. Jody, who's also on this call, has over 30 years experience building and designing homes in Baltimore. And I really feel like we've come to a place that meets our family's needs and the historic guidelines. We learned a lot through the process of getting our garage approved and have applied them to this project. One idea we received as we went through scaling down our garage was from a member of the committee suggesting we do an addition to our house to help us reach our family's needs. So with the guidance from Jody and also Caitlin and Jessica, we reached this design we are reviewing tonight. But a couple of things I just want to point out. As you probably see on the drawings, but from a footprint standpoint, we're adding from our existing footprint of 940-ish square feet, we're adding about 650 square feet if you include, what's here right now. I've also shared with Caitlin and Jessica recently just a couple of photos of two other homes in our neighborhood that have additions and are similar in design and square footage. So I look forward to hearing any questions and your feedback. And thank you very much for your time tonight.
Okay, thank you. Do the commissioners have any questions for Mr. Costa, or is your architect also on the call and available for questions if we have them?
Yes, he is.
Okay, great. So commissioners, I will open the floor to your questions.
I have a question on the, I like what I'm seeing. I think it's working well with the existing house. One thing I would say is I think the roof that is the standing seam metal roof should make sure it's remains on the back side of the house, because we want to, I think what we're trying to see here is that the existing original house is intact and is there. And so I think if that metal roof extends on the back and you don't try to roof over that with asphalt shingles, there's no elevation, on the back thing that shows the two 10 and 12 pitches towards the addition. I think that would be helpful. One other thing, looking at drawing A4, if you could go to that drawing. I just want to make sure, I don't know what you have planned because it's hard to tell. It doesn't identify the roof materials except, so that's why I wanted to ask about the back roof. Would you have any objection to lowering the peak of the hyphen between the two gabled structures? Lowering that so it's clear that that's a later addition that connects. If that dropped, a foot even, it would not come into the peak of the roof, but come in a little bit lower and hitting both of those gables at slightly a foot or two below the peak of the roof.
Yeah, I love that idea. I think it would help distinguish, like you were saying, between the two. And we will have standing seam everywhere on that backside.
Good. Yeah. All right. That solves I wanted to make sure the original house was delineated and clear. All right. That's my question.
Okay, any other? Yeah, go,
I had a
Chris.
similar architectural suggestion. I am concerned about the 4 and 12 pitch roof. I think that that's going to look really odd when you look at that from sort of a diagonal or oblique angle to the house. I think I see that they're trying to resolve the peak into the chimney, but I would take a look at that in 3D. And if your architect doesn't have 3D capabilities in their computer, even just a simple little cardboard model to explore that. One way that this is executed in Roland Park in Guilford, and some of those really big houses where they want to keep the roof ridge lower, is that they actually make the center portion of the roof flat. And from the ground, you can't perceive that that is flat up there. It just looks like that's the top of the roof. So just, I'm suggesting that you explore the 412 pitch a little bit further before you build that.
Understood. And would it be completely flat, or would it have a small, just, angle to it?
You could do the pitches that face you all the way up to 10, 12, and then just have a flat section at the top.
Well, it could be slightly sloped for drainage.
Slightly sloped for drainage, right. You
Okay,
could
that's
even put a hatch in there that would allow you to pop up there and service the roof.
Okay. Excellent.
That's a good suggestion.
I don't have any concern or issue with that at all.
Any other comments from the commissioners?
Well, when I looked at these plans and everything, my first thought was, why are we trying on this property to make big buildings fit into a very small historic community? It just seems like we want to enlarge everything. And I don't quite understand that. If you want to live in a small Victorian railroad village, then it seems like you should want a small dwelling and not, make the addition bigger than the house. Again, it's really not supposed to be in the guidelines, and the guidelines are really not just guidelines, they're regulations. So we should be aware of that when we accept that this is bigger than the house.
I just need to interject for a moment, Phoebe. We should address our public testimony first before we continue on with any more commission discussion.
Yes. Yeah, we were still in the questioning the homeowner phase, and I think yeah,
it's a question.
Wendy, yeah, you were getting a little bit more into the discussion period. So why don't we shift now to any public testimony? I know we had a couple written testimonies that were submitted that were available to the commissioners to read. And do we have any public testimony, members of the public who are wishing to speak to this case?
Yes, so we have 3 registered speakers. So the first is Mr. Andrew Clemens. So Mr. Clemens, I have you unmuted.
Okay. First, I strongly support the idea of an addition to the Costa house. I grew up in that house and lived there for 28 years. I know how small that house is. But as strongly as I support the idea of an addition, I also strongly oppose this plan that has been presented to the LPC. For this plan is almost diametrically opposed to both the guidelines and the goals for additions as stated in the Baltimore County Historic Preservation Design Guidelines. These are the guidelines that you recently voted to use and abide by. Your guidelines call for preserving the historic fabric of the structure. This plan calls for the demolition of almost half the current house, including a 100-year-old addition to the rear of the house. If your guidelines call for an addition that is reversible, if you demolish half the house, that's not reversible. Your guidelines call for the size of the addition to be compatible with the historic structure. The plan for this addition is 2.5 times bigger than the historic structure. Your guidelines call for an addition that is visually subordinate to the historic structure. This plan calls for an addition that at 2,358 square feet will dominate the original house, which will be reduced in size by demolishing about half of it. Your guidelines call for an addition that is lower in height and has a smaller footprint than the original building. This plan shows an addition that is just as tall and has a footprint that is 2 or 3 times the size of the original building. It is obvious that no reasonable, unbiased person could state that this plan follows your guidelines. Commissioners, if you vote to pass this plan tonight as presented, then you might as well throw the guidelines in the trash can. Because if you're not going to follow your own guidelines, what good are they? None. I urge you to reject the plan and keep rejecting it until it meets all of the guidelines. Thank you.
Thank you. If we have our next speaker, please.
Great, thank you. Okay, next, I believe we have Miss Christina Altman. Christina, you are unmuted.
I'm Christina Altman, 16213 Corbett Village Lane, straight opposite to the Costas. And I also represent Pam and Bobby B. all 16215. And I fully agree with Mr. Clemens. I acknowledge that the Costas wish to have more space, especially as it this time is planned for the use for the family and not for cars. And I am also pleased that this time they have decided to do their project legally. And it is fitting that they have preserved the facade of the historic part and directed the addition from the public view. However, the addition does not meet the Baltimore County Historic Guidelines paragraphs 5 through 8 and 10. The guideline book defines that they are actually regulations. The breaches are for paragraph 5. The overall size of the proposed addition is not compatible with the historic structure. Paragraph 6, this addition is not visually subordinate at all to the primary building. The size of this addition does not have a smaller footprint, and the exterior walls are only minimally offset back from the historic structure. The addition appears to be totally flush with the exterior walls. And number 10, this addition is not harmonious in massing with the existing historic structure. My biggest objection is against the height of the addition. The new roof line continues at the same height as in the historic part, and that makes the addition to dominate the historic part. Indeed, the new construction makes the historic building subordinate to the new part, and not vice versa. Moreover, it's very hard, unlike in the other Corbett additions, to tell where the old ends and new starts. There is hardly any separation in this one. As the plan violates most of the guidelines set for an addition, I strongly urge that the Commission follows the county's regulations and rejects the proposal where the new construction has engulfed a small historic part. Otherwise, the guidelines and regulations have no significance. And if we reason that there are other houses in the village which do not comply with the guidelines, and therefore the Costas should not be required to follow them, then where does go the limit? The limit will be in sky, and more overwhelming additions are going to be built. Moreover, the bigger the building, the bigger is the next garage application. In a past meeting, Nate Costa remarked, "If I had a bigger house, I could build a bigger garage." I advise to bring a plan with separation between the old and new, and especially a lower addition, not 2.5 stories high, which would also be more in keeping with the over 100-year-old early 20th century addition, which is about to be demolished. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. If we could have our next public comment.
Great, thank you, Ms. Altman. We have Ms. Barbara McFarland, if you're ready to address the commission.
Overall, I'm pleased with the Costa family's plan for an addition to their home. By situating the addition off the rear of the house, the historic view from Corbett Village is preserved. I am aware there's concern about the removal of the 1918 addition to the original home, since in itself it is also historic. I personally believe that the 1918 addition detracts from the quaint Victorian appearance of the home, but the historic value of this 100-year-old addition is something for you, the commissioners, to decide based on your knowledge and experience in the historic preservation field. I also know there's concern about the overall size of the footprint of the renovated home. Based on the submitted plans, it appears that the first floor interior space will almost double from approximately 850 square feet to approximately 1,550 square feet, with only 415 square feet, approximately 25% of the existing interior remaining. The original front porch of approximately 200 square feet will also remain. Roughly, it seems the home's overall length, including the existing historic front porch, will expand from approximately 40 feet to 64 feet. The addition is definitely large. It is up to the commission to determine if it is so large that it will overwhelm the historic home. But in its favor, most of the structure will not be visible from Corbett Village. Certainly, additions to homes within the historic district on Corbett Road and Corbett Village Lane appear to be as large and are much more visible from the road. The 1-foot offset of the addition, although minimal, will technically differentiate it from the original structure, but a larger offset might be in order. Also, a lowered roof line for the addition might be an appropriate differentiation. The asphalt shingle roof does clearly show that the addition is not a part of the original structure, but it is not congruent with the existing metal roof on the house and the proposed metal roof on the garage. A metal roof on the addition would be more visually pleasing and would call less attention to the large addition. The relocation of the driveway to the east side of the lot makes sense because of its proximity to the new garage and will have the added benefit of prolonging the life of the large oak tree on the west side. Thank you for your efforts to preserve historic Corbett. I'm confident that you will consider the demolition of the 1918 addition, the differentiation of the addition by offsetting the new construction and lowering the roof line, the determination of appropriate footprint size, and the aesthetics of a metal roof as you make your decision on this proposal. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we have heard, I assume that is all of the public comments. So now I would open it up for commission discussion to address the issues. It sounds like the question about the 1918 edition and the size and scope, whether it's subordinate or not, and some questions related to the roof line and the offsets.
May I interrupt? This is Barbara McFarland, and I haven't been unmuted yet.
Do we have well, your time is up, Mrs. McFarland?
Right, but it hasn't been unmuted.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so if we could mute Mrs. McFarland.
Or
Thank you. Okay, so commissioners, I'm opening the floor to you for any questions, concerns, discussion.
This is Lily Mundroff. I have a question for staff. Can you confirm the period of significance for the house?
Well, the specific period of significance for the house, individual house, would be its construction date, or are you wanting to know the period of significance for the historic district?
Well, I guess because it is considered a contributing structure, right, within the district, but the addition, I guess maybe for the district it is to the Victorian era. So I understand that it's accepted as a whole, but what is the significance of that of the district, I guess, for which this has been included? Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out if the original portion of the house is what is ultimately why it's considered contributing.
Because it was constructed within the last anything 50 years or older be considered historic. And usually we will look at changes to buildings sometimes over time can gain significance, but sometimes they don't. I think the period of significance ends for this district in the early 20th century. I'm not sure exactly when the specific end date off the top of my head right now.
Okay, just a question. Thank you.
Is that something that can be looked up quickly?
It will be difficult right now because
Okay.
of everything I have open on my screen for the meeting.
Caitlin and Jessica, a gentleman by the name of Andy Crosby said that he was signed up. I just want to make sure you saw that in the
Yes,
chat.
I'm trying to confirm if he did it with
Yeah,
staff or if he meant registering for the meeting.
right. We, Mr. Crosby, if you registered for the meeting online, registering to speak with staff, you would have needed to email me directly. The only communications I have from you were from this Thursday when you asked for the January 16th meeting minutes. So unfortunately, I don't have any emails for your speaker registration request.
Yeah, registering to attend the meeting is not the same thing as signing up to speak for the meeting. So this would be Phoebe, if you would, your role as chair, if you would permit him to speak.
I'm open to just for the confusion to allowing him to speak for the allotted 3 minutes.
Okay, that's
All right, Mr. Crosby, I will unmute you in just a moment. All right, you are unmuted.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, wonderful. Jessica, thanks for your help today.
Yeah, we can't hear you anymore, Mr. Crosby. So, Mr. Crosby, if you want to try making your comment again, if not, then I'm going to just chalk this up to technical difficulties and move on.
The mute button, it shows that it's muted though.
Okay, can we unmute him?
He is unmuted on our end.
Yeah, we do not have him shown as muted.
Yeah, I show him not muted. Not
Yeah,
muted.
yeah, Mr. Crosby, if you could try speaking. If not, we're just going to move on. I'm sorry that just in the interest of time, I would like to move on. Okay, are there other commissioner comments or questions addressing either the public comments or the property owner's presentation and staff presentation?
Well, I had asked a question originally and
yeah, please go ahead, Wendy.
It wasn't answered. I just, as I said, when I saw all these plans and read about it and everything, I just had the feeling, just came to mind at the end of my reading, is why we're trying to enlarge all these buildings when it is supposed to be a small historic village of mainly, people, railroad homes and everything. Why, if you want a big house and a big garage and all that, why don't you build one on a property that doesn't care about the size?
Did you want to address that to the property owner?
Yes.
Mr. Costa? Okay.
Yes.
Mr. Costa, if you wanted, you could speak to that question from Ms. McIver.
Yeah, I think my wife and I, she wants to say something also, but I would say my answer to that question is that we love living here. We love the character of the homes. We love the proximity. to all of the nature around us. And that, I disagree that, there's two other homes that are, the same size of our proposed, if not larger, with very similar additions on them. There's other homes that have additions, and we have 3 boys, and as Mr. Clemens and his mother shared, like it's a it was a small house that they grew up in, and they added a kitchen on, I believe, in like the 80s. So part of this, there's multiple additions done onto this home, and our plan is to live here honestly until our last days. My parents live 2 houses down, and they plan to live there for their last days. And so I'll let my wife speak to that, but uh, the other part that just to add is separate from your question, but the comments around us not meeting guidelines, you know, I, I feel like, we've spent a significant amount of time, with Caitlin and Jessica working through the guidelines to make sure that we do meet them. And I know that, they're obviously there for guidance and support. And when, they addressed this committee, they spoke about how it does meet the guidelines. And so um, that is a part that not part of your question, but it's just something that I wanted to share. You want to share something else, honey?
Yeah, I wanted to respond to the question. You did a great job, Nate. But we've been here 20 years, and I just really echo all the things my husband said, and we've had really positive rapport with our community and our neighbors, and it's very important to us for a lot of reasons. And we made a mistake, and we've apologized, and we're learning and growing, and I feel so proud of ourselves that we're in compliance and that we're given an opportunity to enhance our house, and it affects the quality of life of our children. And um, when one thing that I think is really relevant and important to share is that when we moved in, I know the Maddox Reamer edition was going through the LPC, and the reason that they added on, and they added on twice twice the size of their house because of their growing family and the needs of their family. And that's just a couple houses down from us on Corbett Village Lane. And we're doing it for the same reasons. We've mentioned on previous calls, we have all 3 of our boys in one room, and this addition gives us a chance for each of them to have their own room. And while they don't complain, that feels amazing to us. It feels like it would be such a blessing. And when we look at the Crosby house and the McAvoy house that's here in our historic district, they also put additions on that went through the LPC and got approved that were about double the size of their house, if not more. And I think it's just significant to say that we're not, responding to Wendy. It's our growing family. We have 4 drivers in our family right now. So we have more than 5 cars, and I think it's when comments are made by neighbors about, why, or even the commission, why do we want to do this? We just want to let you guys know. I mean, it's our family, and we're trying to increase the value of our home and our community. And the way Jody said it to us as we worked with him as an architect that has expertise, he said, you should be so proud of this project, and that, you're doing everything you can to enhance the historic society. And, we want to improve the quality of our life, but we very much care about this community, and we want our neighbors to be happy, but we also acknowledge that we're not going to be able to make everyone happy for a lot of different reasons. But I just wanted to add that and thank Jessica and Caitlin for their guidance. But the initial plan that we provided, it didn't, we have gotten all different kinds of guidance. And I think that if there's more specific questions addressed about our plans, our architect Jody could speak to that, or Nate could chime in. But thank you for letting me share.
Thank you. Yes. So if we could focus, I would just call the commissioners to focus on the design elements of the proposed addition, so that it's in our discussion. So are there other comments, questions from the commissioners related to the roof line, related to the setbacks in response to both the applicant and the public comments.
I have.
Lily, I heard you first.
Sure. This is Lily, District 1. I think as far as I want to echo some of the earlier comments made about the roof and the setback and the size. It looks, the fact that it is, it's all happening behind the original earlier part of the structure makes sense and meets the guidelines. I do believe that having just the 1 foot is kind of limited as far as the step back, recognizing that this is in fact an all new hyphen and then back a back addition, right? The new gable. So especially that in relationship to the roof, the 4 and 12 roof that Chris Weston mentioned, I would probably suggest making sure that the roof, the hyphen roof should step back so that you fully see the original part of the gable structure as the original thing, and everything else steps back and over. So just a few tweaks basically on how you step back the roof to make sure that it reads as a new addition, but also it avoids creating issues where then you have a certain type of trim coming in and meeting a new set of details that really starts to confuse and makes it too bulky. So I do think it's important to look at just some of those details of stepping back. Another comment is I have a question about the driveway. It was mentioned before about, now it's being relocated. I understand that. I just wanted to make sure that what was just as far as the extent of the parking, I mean, in terms of, is that going to be, I mean, it seems like more area on the side now than on the back. So I just wanted to fully understand that, or I don't know if anybody else had any questions about it or comments.
Lily, I can unmute Jody.
I think I've been unmuted. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I got it.
Hi, everybody. This is Jody Westerland, and I like the idea, duly noted, about the lower hyphen ridge. Also, it's a cool idea to maybe stop that ridge and to preserve the whole back standing seam. I'd have to use some sort of a cricket there to shed water, but we could definitely consider that, and we could make that work. In regards to the driveway, the way I've laid it out now is generally so people can pull in, park their cars facing the house and unload their groceries and so forth, and then be able to back up and pull back out again. I can certainly make the little appendage smaller for folks to back up into so they can pull back out. So I could reduce some of the size of where it says parking as it faces to the east. I could reduce the size there.
Okay, are there any other questions for the architect from the commissioners?
I had a comment, just a quick one.
Okay.
So I think just from hearing the testimony, some of the things that would be on my end of as far as when we vote and everything, I think a big issue is the addition, the 1918 addition, and the amount of removal of the historic aspect. You know, not to add in too much personal information, but it reminds me, I have family that Native American live on reservations. So the looking at this, this is a form of protectionism for a historic community. And the way I see this is the same sort of way that of the same issues in a cultural aspect, almost a agricultural or a architectural culture aspect. The more you take away from the existing historic aspect of it, the more justification you give to losing that historical protection towards it. So for taking away a historic, and this, village is coming up on our agenda, over and over again, the more we take away from the historical aspect, I can sympathize with those in the community worried about the protections and this being a historic district over time because you're adding newer and newer and newer things. So my two concerns for this towards our voting aspect are the 1918 edition and slightly the height of the addition overseeing the house itself. So just on my end, that's where I'm coming from when somebody puts out a motion.
Dan, did you have questions for the architect about whether, the reasoning behind, not keeping the 1918 edition?
Just to save time in our future, for when it's brought, if it's brought back to us, depending on where the vote goes, is there a possibility of saving the edition that's the 1918 while still conforming, where if we had a motion to bring back, adjust things, is there a way that can be expanded? Because it doesn't seem like, for the testimony, the expansion isn't the big aspect. It's a small thing and it could be expanded, but is there any way of saving the 1918 aspect of it?
This is Jody again. Yeah, I had one plan. Firstly, that we did integrate the addition, and there is a way to do that. There's a way to really do anything, really, when you think of it. The one downside of that addition is that it has a what is practically a flat roof, and it's going to be hard to integrate that flat roof with, the other new work. Although where there's a will, there's a way, and certainly it would be worth looking into.
What is the historic addition? It looks like just a jumble of boxes back there.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, if you're looking at the front of the house, the photo of the front of the house, it's on the left-hand side, and it's got an entry door below and a window above, and it essentially has a flat roof.
If you go to the side, so if you go to this view where you guys can see it from the rear, it's the box on the right. Everything else to the left of that the 2-story box, even that little part, was done, I think, in the 80s. And that the box on the right, I'm not sure about the date of 1918, but I think it was like, my understanding was in the late 20s that box was added. But again, this is all personal feeling. But when I look at that box, there's nothing appealing or historic in the that represents of an era of the 20s or the so that was kind of the leading decision to help us not have that part of it. But like in our previous project, we are always open to thoughts and suggestions to get us to where we would like to be. So
can you speak to the 1918 edition in terms of what is original from 1918 in terms of like windows, doors, anything along that line?
And I have a question.
I don't think there's anything original on that. Those windows that's a picture window that's on there on that side. And same thing up top, and then on the back there's another just normal double hung, and then like upstairs there's like those are just big open 6 foot, 8 foot tall window.
I think the studs in the foundation might date to 1918 or something, but the rest of this doesn't.
Yeah, and the foundation is a bit problematic if you see how it protrudes out around the baseline of the addition. The addition itself is approximately 16 by 16 feet.
Okay. Thank you. So Vince, did you have a question or comment?
Yes. The picture showing the front of the house again. Can I see that? Okay. So now I'm confused. Does that where's the addition is where?
It's on the left side, but it's hidden because of the perspective.
Okay.
You're not, if we were over 10 feet to the left, we
Gotcha.
would see that thing jutting out. I find it may be from 1918, but the windows are all very 1970s.
Yeah, that's not looking right.
Yeah.
In the flat roof, I think it takes away from the existing building, but
Yeah.
I think it's been modified so much, and
I'm not.
I don't.
I'm asking. I'm not seeing. I mean,
Actually,
I'm not seeing his story.
yeah, there is in the BA form, the historic form, there is a house on 16202 Corbett that looks very similar to this one. And the addition on the side, although it has a flat roof, it's actually in line with the gable. So this, what you're seeing now protruding out is, if the houses are similar, they look exactly the same from the front. It looks like that the original part of the wall would have gone right where the gable is, not where this protrusion is occurring.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so I think we exhausted the question about the 1918 edition.
I'm good on that. Thank
okay,
you.
great. Any other comments related to the roof line and the setback in terms of 1 foot, whether it needs to be more than 1 foot? Those seem to be the other issues.
I would like to just make sure, to clarify what I wanted to say before. I do support lowering the roof ridge in the addition, including at the gable, and also putting a height on what that is, because the elevations do not show a height of the roof.
Maybe we should, the architect keeps talking about coming back and they could make
Yeah.
some modifications, and he sees modifications that he thinks he could make. I think the issue we would like to have him address would be to step it back maybe a bit more and lowering the roof and having it feel like it's more subservient to the existing house. And I think he expressed the thought that he could do that. So maybe what we ought to do is really have a second look at this, and anything you can do to reduce size, I think would probably be good. So
yes,
this is Jody again, if I may. So we talked about lowering the ridge line of the hyphen itself, and in terms of lowering the peak of the new gable at the rear of the house, we're up against a pretty not much headroom situation, and I'd be in hopes that by lowering that ridge of the hyphen that could get us there, so we could have some more headroom, just a normal amount of headroom in the second floor up there.
I understand, but we've also heard that this house is visible from the trail across on the other side, on the back side. So the proportion of the original structure should remain the critical original height, and then anything added should be of lesser height.
I think we're generally, looking for the addition to be more subservient.
Understood. Do you have any measurement in mind? a foot and a half, would a foot and a half do it, or 2 feet, or what are you guys seeing?
I think we'd need to see some drawings, and I think to really evaluate, I think you need to look at it, come back with something that you think works, and let us look at it. And
Can do. I'd be happy to do
I think
that.
that would make the most sense.
Sure.
Any other, it sounds like we're going to, we're leaning toward rejecting it and asking that the applicant come back to us with some modifications, generally like the design, but want some modifications. That's the sense that I'm getting. Would somebody like to put that into an emotion?
Sure, I'll do it. I make a motion that we reject the plans as submitted and ask the architect and applicants to come back with a revised design that makes the addition more subservient to the historic building.
Could you provide them with specifics, like with the height and creating a narrower or a larger setback on the side, things like that?
I would prefer to leave that to their architect.
I agree with Chris. I think it's something that I don't want to specify, oh, it needs to be 1.6 feet or 1.5 feet back. I think the architect is a designer, let them come up with what they think works. The goal being to make it less, if you can reduce the size of it by any amount, I think that would not be bad. But I think having it feel a little more subservient, I think is the goal.
In terms of roof line and setbacks?
Setbacks, I mean, all of it.
Okay. Okay, so we have a motion, and so do we have, I entertain a second?
I will second, Wendy.
Thank you, Wendy. Then I think we are then ready for a roll call vote. So this would be to reject the applicant as submitted and ask that the applicant and architect come back with some modifications to the design to adjust the size and scope.
And does this include the overall square footage of the floor plan?
Not necessarily. If they can make it look subservient,
and then
the square footage doesn't matter.
Thank you.
Yeah. Sounded like it was more the roof line and setbacks.
Okay. Great. So if we're ready, can we have Chris Weston, please?
We're voting yes to reject it, correct?
Correct.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yes.
Scott? Sorry, Scott, can you unmute yourself?
He is unmuted.
All right, we'll come back. Tom, please.
Yes.
Lily?
Yes.
Ted?
Yes.
Wendy?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Vince?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
And Scott, do we have your vote?
He said yes in the chat.
Oh, perfect. Okay. And Phoebe, please?
Yes.
Great, thank you. Alrighty.
So thank you to the Costas, and we look forward to seeing your revised proposal at a subsequent meeting.
Thank you very much, and we'll see you next month.
Yeah, I hope that this feedback was helpful for you.
Very much so. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I believe that was the last agenda item. Now, if staff could present any of the, I guess it was the points of information.
Yeah, we have a few tax credits that were
Yes.
approved with MHT approval. So first is the Wiesel property at 1201 Western Run Road in Cockeysville, and they're located within the Western Run Belfast National Register Historic District. And they received Part 2 approval for the in-kind standing seam roof replacements to the main house and their vinegar house. Next, we have the Beverly property at 16202 Corbett Village Lane in Moncton. And they received a Part 2 emergency review for a hot water boiler replacement. Next, we have the Dungara property at 11 Forest Drive in Catonsville, and they are located within the Central Catonsville and Summit Park National Register Historic District. And I did not include what they received their tax credit for. Then Caitlin, can we move the next slide for the, I believe it's the Lock Hoser property. So they're within the Suffolk Park County Historic District, and they received a Part 2 amendment for additional chimney repairs.
Okay, and thank you. Is there any other business? I see the county.
Yes, just another reminder, we mentioned this at the last meeting, that this coming Tuesday, the 13th at 4 p.m. is the public hearing for the Perry Hall School and Setting, which is currently on the preliminary landmarks list. This is the public hearing for it to be put on the final landmarks list. And also, I forgot to put this on here, but May is Historic Preservation Month, and I already emailed you guys about the social media campaign that we're trying to get people involved with, called This Place Matters, about going and taking a photo with a place in their community that they find very special, and sharing it with us here so that we can share it on our social media pages. So please get out there and take some photos. And then that's it.
Thank you. Any final remarks from the commissioners? If not, then I would thank you all for attending, and I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you, Ed. Is it? Thank you. So all in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Great. Then we will see you at our next meeting on June 12th at 6 p.m.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank
right.
you.
Here.
Bye. Good night. Bye.
Night.
Bye.